Hey guys, it's Ian. I just finished up my second project of the year that I'm super excited about. It gave me the opportunity to work with computer vision, which I've been looking to dive into for quite some time now. But just for some background and the inspiration behind this, my buddy Ryan and I will every 3 or 4 months get the latest Magic the Gathering set. And each of us will get a booster box, and one of us will open up these booster packs, and the other one will be furiously typing away to figure out how much each card is worth and figure out how much we gained or more likely lost at the end of the day with each of these Magic the Gathering packs. But I realized that when you're typing away, you don't get to enjoy or celebrate when a big pull or a really expensive card comes up. So I wanted to create a tool that made it a little bit more instantaneous to figure out exactly how much each card is worth. So without diving too much into it, let's just look at the demo, and then we will talk about kind of the methodologies. I used Python, OpenCV, Tesseract for OCR, and we'll talk more about why. But overall, it was a really fun project, and I'm excited to share with you. If you have any questions, definitely ask them. But let's jump into it. So this is my computer mouse pad. This is my hand. As we bring this Magic the Gathering card in, which you probably had seen already, as we remove it, we see, okay, this card has been identified. It's the Underdark Basilisk. It's 18 cents. And then just to make sure that I'm not hard coding Underdark Basilisk, 18 cents, we'll bring in Sudden Insight. Sudden Insight's worth 21 cents. And then one more we can bring in. We see that Magic Missile is worth 25 cents. So awesome. High rollers, great. This is a really cool program, really fun. Right now, it's only focusing on the Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. It just makes it a little bit easier. I did include the option to select a set. So this is a prompt that you're given when the program is running. Basically, you can select from all the sets. It just makes it so that rather than looking through hundreds of thousands of cards that have been released by Magic the Gathering, because I'm opening Magic the Gathering sets or packs, I know that they're all coming from the same set, so I can fine-tune it to a specific set. But with all of this said, let's look into kind of how we went about this. So we can break it down into detection and identification. So first, with detection, let's jump to a 6-panel screen. So the general procedure that I found as you're going through edge detection is you want to kind of blur it and gray it so that you make the edges more obvious, for lack of a better term, and then we go from there. So just to kind of talk about what these random pictures are that you see up on the screen, the top left is just the unedited, unfiltered image. It's the card as you see it on the table. If I were to look down, that's how the card looks. The second image is both a Gaussian blur and a gray filter, so it makes it black and white. This is just what seems to be produce the best results for the next phase, which is canny edge detection. So canny edge detection is what goes through and it identifies what is considered an edge and what's not considered an edge. So the canny edge detection takes two values, which are basically how much it's thresholded, and it determines what is considered an edge and what's not considered an edge. So you can see that the card is highlighted, and that's because we've focused on a specific threshold. But you see that the shadow of my mouse right over here doesn't come up on this black screen, or at least doesn't come up on it until I move my fingers into the page. And that's just within the thresholds. So all of these top three images, the original image, the gray, and the low filter, I think aside from Gaussian, you can use like bilateral filters. These three images are all for the detection. This is all, okay, this is where the card is, and we can see in the bottom left, these are our contours. This is basically the computer saying, okay, we're pretty sure this is where the card is. But then you get into the aspect of, okay, we know that this card is here, but we have no clue what this card is. And so that's where you get into more of the computer vision aspect of it. And I'll be honest, I did a little bit of an unorthodox approach to computer vision. Rather than the typical computer vision, which involves model training and basically comparing an image to another image, I knew that Magic the Gathering cards all have an identification right at the top, right? So for this card that you see, it's Magic Missile. It says it at the top. We, again, flip to another card that was in here, Sudden Insight, 21 cents. Sudden Insight right at the top. So I knew that while it wouldn't be perfect because Magic the Gathering cards have different elements, like a card might be shiny or considered foil is what they would call it, or there are alternate arts. I knew that I was just looking for a pretty basic understanding, and further improvements could involve just like prices for hollows and stuff on the screen, but I just wanted to go with the just general understanding. So to jump into how we identified the card, let me pull up some displays of the card. So when we look at the card name, what I wanted to do is whatever orientation, provided that it's decently upright and provided that all four corners are on the screen, I wanted to be able to say, okay, this card needs to go up and down because in the end of the day, I'm going to be pulling that top X amount of pixels that contains the Sudden Insight. So I needed to be able to transform based on the 4 points of the edges and put it into the portrait visualization. Once it was in that portrait visualization, so after transforming it and changing the perspective and everything, we could identify the specific pixels. So we see, this is actually a good example. So we see that for a second there, it said Sudden Insight. What we're doing now is we're pulling the text off here with our OCR tool, so Tesseract, and we're pulling it the best we can. So for OCR, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically the newest iPhones came out with it as well. But it's basically when you have a picture and you can, as a human, you can see, okay, there's text on it. But back in the day, you couldn't click on it and highlight it or anything. OCR makes it so that it allows a computer to recognize text on a picture and allow you to actually convert that into text. So when we see this picture that has Sudden Insight, we as humans can read it as Sudden Insight, but a computer wouldn't be able to do that. That's where the OCR comes into effect. It takes that, it says, okay, these pixels come together and they look like they would spell out Sudden Insight, so let's throw that in. So that's a really long explanation of a really basic understanding of OCR, but basically what we're doing is we're taking Sudden Insight, and what I did is I have a key value map of just cards in this set and prices. So most recent prices or recent prices that I found online for this set. So what we do is we take Tesseract, we OCR it, we grab the text from it, we compare that with the names of the cards that are in the set, and we map it with a price. And once that's all said and done, then we have the final product of identifying exactly what the card is. Overall, this was a really fun project. I am really excited for the next set that comes out and being able to actually utilize it. But just for some more examples, just as we kind of fade out of here, it's just been a lot of enjoyment, I would say. And then the other thing that I really enjoy as well is it allows you to do as many cards as you can fit on the screen as pixels that will allow. So because we're looking at a specific card, you have to be able to have fine enough resolution that you can actually read what that says. So we can put two cards side by side and everything, and it'll be able to populate the price of both, even if it doesn't look like it does because they were the same price. It'll be able to populate the price of both, and it just makes it so that it's really cool. It makes it so that the higher resolution camera you have, the more cards you can have, and overall it makes it so that it's not the limiting factor is the program. But thanks again for listening to this entire demo. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. If you want to try it out, I'll figure out if I can figure out how to bundle it up. But until next time, looking forward to project number 3. Thanks, guys.